the Vice President for Speed Global Services. We are an international freight forwarder. We're a customs broker. We're domestic trucking, domestic warehousing, and 3PL. All right? One of the ground rules that I would like to set today is I'm going to talk a lot about freight forwarding. All right? And I'm going to talk a lot about partners. When I talk about freight forwarders or I talk about partners, it is not a commercial for my company, even though I do that. Okay? I would like to talk more in generality as far as the people who are out there. And, you know, one of the things that I like to say and I like to drill in almost every seminar that I do, whether it's an international seminar or an INCO seminar, but it's very important to establish relationships. Okay? And again, when I talk about relationships, I'm not talking about a relationship with us as for my company. I'm talking about relationships with a freight forwarder, with a customs broker. Okay? And hopefully I'm going to show you today where those relationships can really pay off. All right? I'm going to show you some tricks. Like, especially when you're dealing with domestic as well as international, the rules are different. Okay? And I know a lot of times companies try to mix those two rules and think they're the same and think that they're going to apply the same way. They don't. All right? And if you're in the quoting game, all right, and that's your sole purpose for making that phone call to a freight forwarder, they can pretty much tell you whatever you want to hear. Okay? If you don't know your terms and you don't know what the situations are. All right? I'll give you a real good example. Do you all ship less than container load at some point? Okay. Is there anybody that doesn't know the term less than container load? Okay. As a freight forwarder, if you call me up and say, Mike, I would like a quote from Shanghai to Buffalo for 3 skids, can you give me my rate? I could pretty much say, Denise, what would you like to pay? Seriously, okay? What, you have a quote for $275 a skid? I'll give it to you for $200. I don't even need to look it up. You have $200, I'll give you $150. I'll even go as far as I'll give it to you for free. Why? And a lot of forwarders will give it to you for free. A lot of Chinese forwarders will give it to you for free. How do they do that? Does anybody have an idea? Pardon me? They have other freight on board, but why are they giving you your 3 skids for free?
Get a full container.
When you ship less than container load, okay, you have warehousing charges. And a lot of people don't think about those warehousing charges. And if I give you $100 a skid, I might be giving, and that's all you're asking for, I'm going to tell you for 3 skids, I'll give you $300, and we'll move 3 skids for you from Shanghai to Buffalo. But I'm also going to tell you that it goes through the Port of Long Beach, and the warehouse I use there is going to charge $300 a skid for handling. And guess what? You didn't ask it. You had no idea about it. When you get the bill and you call me up and you say, Mike, you quoted me $100 a skid, or you told me it was practically free. Yeah, well, that's what I'm giving you. However, my warehouse that I'm getting a kickback from, all right, is charging you extra fees that you weren't even aware of. You didn't ask for it. You had no idea. That's how it works. And we're going to talk about that kind of stuff today. And we're going to talk about keeping you away from certain terms, either putting your own company at risk through the government, through, financially, all right? There's different risks that there are out there, okay? So we're going to talk about stuff like that today. 30 days. All international quotes are 30 days. So keep that in mind as we talk about things today. So when I get a phone call and somebody tells me on August 20th that I've got 3 container loads going out on February 1st, can you give me a rate? Or better yet, I've got a rate of $3,500. Can you beat it? And my container is going out February 1st. $3,500? Sure, I'll do it for $3,400. And how can I give you that so quickly? I'll even put it in writing for you. But why will I do that so quickly? For a February 1st ship date. Because that rate is not going to hold. It's not going to hold. I'll get your interest. I'll keep you there. Okay? You're going to mark it down and you're going to say, this freight forwarder is the person. All right? On the middle of January, you're going to call them up. You're going to say, okay, here's my shipment. I'm ready to ship it. Here we go. Boom. Shipment goes. I might honor that rate because the rate might have gone down. Okay? Most freight forwarders aren't going to call you up and say, hey, you remember that quote I gave you 4 months ago? Shipping charges have gone down, so I'm not going to charge you that anymore. How many times have you gotten that phone call? Okay? Or you're going to get, now that we got your container, here again, if you don't have a relationship with someone, now that I've got your container, the rate has gone up to $3,500 to $3,700. And if you look at the quote says, good for 30 days. Okay? So those are some other things we'll talk about. If you're going to compare rates, make sure that you compare rates in a 30-day period. Okay? So even though you might not be shipping in that time frame, always talk to in that 30-day period. You go outside of that 30-day period, they can pretty much give you any price that you want to hear. Okay? Again, it's about relationships. Don't go jumping from one forwarder to another for $50 or for $25, because in the end, it'll cost you more money. It will. Okay? These are just kind of we're just setting the building blocks for today. This has nothing to do with, well, it's not that it has nothing to do with INCOterms, but this isn't INCOterms directly, but we're building the foundation. Okay? Let's talk about air freight. And I always like to talk about air freight, and if you're responsible for it or if you need something, make sure that you understand exactly how air freight works and how the pricing works for it. Okay? I'll give you an example. Right now, my company has space on a freighter from Shanghai and Hong Kong into Chicago. I have a very large customer. We were able to buy space on that. However, it's a 10-day window. Okay? So you're looking at me and you're saying, 10 days for air freight. Okay?